Hello everyone, in this video we're doing a quick overview of the Wheel of Destiny and reviewing the Revelation perks available for Paladins on the Winter Test Server 2022. The Wheel of Destiny is a new addition to the game that you can spend points in to customize your character. You gain 1 point for every level you gain, starting at level 51. You can spend your points on your wheel whenever you want, but the points can only be reset when in a city temple. There are 4 domains that each contain 9 slices that you can put your points into. Every point you put into a slice gives you dedication perks. These are minor, but will add up over time. Dedication perks are things like hit points, mana, hit points and mana at the same time, capacity, hit point burst, mana regeneration burst, familiar expertise, and frequent familiar. Some of these are self-explanatory, but some are not. Hit point burst and mana regeneration burst is a % chance of regenerating 10 times the amount from food regeneration. Familiar expertise increases the health and damage of your familiar, while frequent familiar allows you to reduce the cooldown. One of these slices are maxed out, you will gain a conviction perk. These can be elemental resistances, life leech, mana leech, skill boost depending on your vocation, distance melee or magic level, and custom spell effects. I will not be diving into all of the custom spell effects as I haven't had the chance to test them. There will most likely be some tuning to these during the test server. Now, Revelation perks. Revelation perks are granted once enough points are spent in a single domain. You will unlock stage 1, 2, and 3 of the perk by spending 250, 500, and 1000 points respectively. There are 2 perks that are for all vocations, and 2 that are custom for each vocation. Also, you're able to put these new passive abilities on your action bar to monitor their cooldowns. Firstly, we'll be covering the generic perk Gift of Life. You have this perk active and an attack were to kill you, but the overkill damage is less than a certain percentage of your maximum hit points. You'll be healed for a percentage of your hit points. This perk will not trigger if you're killed by agony damage, which is dealt by some endgame bosses. Stage 1, 2, and 3 will trigger if the overkill damage is not more than 20, 25, or 30% of your maximum health respectively. You will be healed up to that same percentage and then take the damage. Also, all of your spell cooldowns are reduced by 60 seconds. The cooldown for this effect has been reduced on test server, but the planned cooldown is 30 hours for stage 1, 20 hours for stage 2, and 10 hours for stage 3. The cooldown of this perk will only reduce when your character has a battle sign. I could see this being used if you're hunting a new spawn for the first time or attempting a difficult boss. This will give you a bit of room for error if you make a mistake. For example, if this does trigger on a boss, you'll then have the opportunity to leave the boss fight and not come back until the cooldown is reset to try again, assuming you don't take more damage than your overkill percentage allows. Also, one thing to note is that it does not restore any mana, so it can still be hard to survive if your mana is depleted for most vocations. Secondly, we'll review the Paladin specific Revelation perk Divine Wrath. At the moment, this spell seems very underwhelming. It may get better depending on how the damage scales, but as I was only able to unlock stage 1, it doesn't seem great. The cooldown is 28 seconds for stage 1, 24 seconds for stage 2, and 20 seconds for stage 3. This spell plants a marker at the feet of your target, or under your own if you have no target, that will explode after 3 seconds, dealing holy damage in an AoE. At first, it seemed quite good to me, but it happened to trigger Divine Wrath charm proc at the same time, so the damage was combined. The damage seems to be similar, if not a little lower, than Divine Caldera. At the moment, I can't see much use for this unless it is reworked or the damage increases by a lot at stage 2 and 3. Thirdly, we look at the second generic perk for all vocations, the Avatar. Each vocation gets a unique sprite for their avatar, and in my opinion, these look great. The spell itself is great, but where it falls short may be the duration and or the cooldown. When turning into your avatar, you get 100% crit chance, damage reduction and extra crit damage equal to 5% for stage 1, 10% for stage 2, and 15% for stage 3. The spell has a duration of 11 seconds and a cooldown of 120 minutes, 90 minutes, and 60 minutes, depending on the respective stage. Again, this has been reduced temporarily for testing purposes during test server. As I mentioned, all of the benefits are great, but the duration is so short and the cooldown is so long, it seems like it will be hard to get much use out of it. I can only speak from a PvE perspective, so maybe more benefits during PvP, but there aren't many situations I can think of where the extra survivability and the damage is going to make a big difference. Maybe during a difficult boss to help you survive, or push for a bit of extra damage to win loot for a world boss. As for the survivability, it will most likely be better having the Gift of Life, which will trigger automatically if you get trapped and die to give you the health back, rather than for you to react and cast the spell in the right situation. The final revelation perk I'll be covering for the Paladin is Divine Empowerment. This one seems the most useful to me. After a certain amount of auto attacks, it will create a field of holy energy at your feet. If you stand in this field, your damage is increased. Depending on whether you're at stage 1, 2, or 3, it will trigger every 16, 14, or 12 auto attacks. Also, your damage will be increased by 8%, 10%, or 12% respectively. The field will last for 5 seconds. It seems AoE attacks like diamond arrows count as 1 auto attack, while single target hits like bolts count as 2. I'm not sure if this will remain the same. I believe this is the most useful, as you'll be getting a consistent, predictable benefit. If you're boxing, you can box in this holy energy to get increased damage and therefore more survivability, or while killing bosses, you'll be doing many auto attacks. You would stand on this to get a damage boost whenever it appears, which will be several times during the boss fight, rather than the 11-second damage boost during your avatar. There are 2 custom revelation perks for each vocation, but I don't think I'm in a position to dive into them as I'm not experienced with other vocations, but I'll display them on screen now for you to review the current stats. These images were taken from TibiaWiki. Even from a Paladin perspective, I've been playing the vocation for a long time, but haven't hunted endgame bosses or spawns, so maybe higher level Paladins can see some benefits I cannot. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Wheel of Destiny, and if you agree or disagree with any of my points. Thanks for watching, happy hunting!